Greetings, tubers, and welcome. I wanted to start by saying I am beyond floored by the response from the Murder Among the Mormons video. There are many new faces on this channel, and I couldn't be more appreciative. For all of my original subscribers, thank you so much for your continued support. And for all you new faces, I am so glad you're here, and I really hope you enjoy the channel. Speaking of OG subscribers, today's video was suggested by Harry Key. And I really appreciated it as it gave me a chance to watch an old classic, Clerks, created by Kevin Smith. There are a lot of different opinions out there on this movie. You love it, you hate it, it's boring, it's brilliant. Whatever your thoughts are, they're all valid, because I would say this movie is not just a classic, but it is a cult classic. And with all movies in this category, you will see it on some people's favorite list, while also reading rants about how overrated the whole thing is. And we can get into that in the comments later, but for now, this is Redeye Reviews. As with all my videos, we will start with that good old plot synopsis. I'm not going to bother providing a timestamp to skip it, because, well, it's a pretty old movie, and it's not that complicated. Are we ready? This is Dante. He works at a convenience store. This is Randall. He works at a movie store across the street. They're friends, and they hang out a lot instead of work. Dante is dating Veronica, but he wants to date his old flame, Caitlin. At one point, they play hockey on the roof, and a guy is found dead in the bathroom. And please don't ask me to explain why he dies, or the events that happen with/around his dead body. Just look at this scene right here, and I'm sure you can put two and two together. Oh, and at one point they sell cigarettes to a 4-year-old, and all the while Jay and Silent Bob hang out outside and do literally nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that's the plot. That's pretty much all there is to it. Now, we all have our opinions on this movie, but regardless of if you enjoyed it or not, you can't deny its place in cinematic history. It really paved the way for small, budgeted, dialogue-heavy movies. There have been a ton of copycat movies to come from this, like Mallrats or Suburbia, Empire Records, God forbid, Glory Days. Did everyone else forget this movie existed? But Clerks is basically a play between the man and anarchy. Dante, stuck in a dead-end job with just enough motivation to know it sucks, but not enough motivation to do anything about it. And Randall, who's kind of like the wrench in the system. He's free-thinking, constantly challenging his environment, but also only so much, as he has a dead-end job as well. Now, the main reason this movie became as popular as it has is not just its script and its dialogue, but the making of the movie itself. But the conversations they have are so real and raw and vulgar that when this movie came out, it was given an NC-17 rating. Not because there's any sex or violence or gore. Nope, none of that. Solely because of the dialogue itself. Now, to be fair, if this movie came out today, it would be like PG-13. But our modern rating system is beyond broken. So that's not a really fair assessment. But it still allows us to engage with the movie because we all have had these dumb conversations. These immature arguments over something we thought was life or death at the time, and years later we realized it was just hormones and Monster energy drinks talking. But this does lead me to my favorite scene, and arguably most people's favorite scene, when they talk about the Death Star in Star Wars. And this is an incredible scene for several reasons, because they talk about how when the second Death Star, when the rebels blew it up, it was still under construction. So while the first one, when that blew up, it was operational, so it probably had just stormtroopers and Imperials and stuff on board. But the second one was under construction, meaning it had space contractors building little space toilets and installing space sighting, and they were probably just hired to do a job and most likely weren't even aligned with the Empire. And it's hilarious, and it makes you think, but it hits you that, yeah, they're probably right about that. But the real reason this scene is so iconic, it's one of the first movies that really made you think, outside of a movie's plot, like around the plot. And especially with Star Wars, because you get so wrapped up in that world and that story that you don't really think about the world as having just average Joes in it and 9-to-5 jobs. But Clerks made us think about stuff like that. And it opens us up to thinking about the reality around a movie's plot. Do you think freeing some animals and not freeing the slaves near them is beyond messed up? Absolutely. Let's not get started about this movie. I got a lot to say about this movie. We're going to move on. My point is Clerks made us think about the world around the plot. and was probably one of the first movies that ever made us do so. Now, the making of this movie is also worth noting. It is insane the amount of effort it took Kevin Smith to create his vision. Because you see, this movie had a budget of about $27,000, and Kevin raised pretty much all of this by himself by maxing out his credit cards, taking all of his college fund money, and selling the majority of his comic book collection. Now, the last one stings a little bit, but he has said he bought back most of those comic books after the movie became a success. But this budget is pretty much the main reason the movie's in black and white. And no, it's not because color cost more, but because their lighting equipment was all over the place. They had yellow lights and white lights and warm lights and too bright of lights, and something that would look obviously bad in color. But you don't have to worry about a light's warmth or color as much if you film in black and white, which is what they did. And the store that the movie's filmed in was actually where Kevin Smith worked. So they shot for 21 straight nights. And I say nights because he would clock into work at 6 a.m., stay until 11 p.m., and then immediately start shooting his movie until about 4 a.m., getting an hour or two of sleep, and then rinsing and repeating. And near the beginning of the movie, Dante finds the shutters outside have gum in them, which is why he can't open them up and let light into the store. But the truth is, because they filmed at night, it would have been dark outside the entire time. So to solve for this, just keep them closed to make it part of the plot. That's easy. So now you can film your day shots at night without anybody really knowing. And this movie was Kevin Smith's baby, his passion project. And he said the only reason he ever even casted himself in it was so if it bombed and it put him into near permanent debt, he could at least point to his face in the movie and have evidence as to what caused his circumstances. Okay, let's do some quick trivia and then we can get out of here. Now, Jason Mewes, or Jay, was so camera shy when they filmed this movie that during this scene where they're dancing, everybody in the crew had to leave. They set the camera to roll, everyone stepped out, they went somewhere else for a while, and they let him kind of dance with Kevin by himself, which I find just weirdly adorable. And then this is just general trivia, but it's something I learned while researching this movie. The reason prices end in 95 or 99 cents is so the cashier would actually have to make change and force them to open the register, which records a transaction. It makes it harder to pocket money or steal the money. And then that practice, I'm assuming, is just stuck into the digital age, probably because $5.99 looks cheaper than $6. And then the original ending actually had Dante being shot by a robber, which is really intense. And Kevin Smith only filmed that scene because he didn't know how to end his movie at all. He later cut the scene and made a different ending, which is the one that we get. But he added this alternate ending to the 10-year anniversary DVD. And I've seen it, and honestly, I'm glad they ended the film the way they did. All in all, let's give this movie an 8 out of 10. It's a cult classic. It holds up pretty well today's world. But on that, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. Like the video. Put some comments down there. I would love to hear your opinions on this movie. And if there's anything else you want me to review in the future, just let me know. I made this channel to be able to interact with other movie fans about their favorite movies. So tell me your favorite, and I'll add it to the list. We'll catch you on the next one on Tuesday. I'm not quite sure what we're going to be talking about yet, but we'll see when the day comes. And until that day, stay happy and stay healthy.